Welcome back! My name is Baller Scuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1982, and today we're going to talk about Ms. Pac-Man. The story of Ms. Pac-Man takes us to the General Computer Corporation, or GCC. GCC was founded in 1981 by Doug McRae, John Tilco, and Kevin Curran. GCC started by creating mod kits for existing arcade games. Initially, their most popular work was Super Missile Attack, an enhancement board for Missile Command. We have dedicated a full video to Missile Command previously. Super Missile Attack was sold to owners of Missile Command's arcade cabinets as a way for them to make more money on their existing cabinets. Since Missile Command was seen as a popular game that didn't make as much money as it could, since players would play too long on a single quarter, Super Missile Attack made the game work faster while making the game harder. This was seen as a way to make more money. Super Missile Attack got the attention of Atari, the creators of Missile Command. Atari sued GCC over copyright infringement. Atari would later drop the lawsuit under the agreement that GCC would no longer make mod kits for Atari games without Atari's permission. Atari also hired GCC to create games directly for Atari. However, GCC already had another game in the works. They had created an enhancement for Pac-Man cabinets named Crazy Otto. We of course have talked about Pac-Man in its own video previously. GCC decided to present the completed Crazy Otto to Midway directly. Midway was in charge of the North American distribution of Pac-Man. Midway, who was already looking for a sequel to Pac-Man, was enthusiastic about Crazy Otto. Midway purchased the rights to Crazy Otto and worked with both GCC and Namco to tweak the game. The game went through several name changes during this time. It became Super Pac-Man first, but then it was decided to have a female lead character, so the name changed to Pac-Woman, then Miss Pac-Man. After seeing a cutscene where the original Pac-Man and the female character had a baby, the name was then changed to Mrs. Pac-Man, then Ms. Pac-Man. All of these name changes occurred within the same 2 weeks of development. Ms. Pac-Man is an upgraded version of Pac-Man and plays very similarly to Pac-Man. The player controls Ms. Pac-Man, avoiding ghosts and eating pellets, just like Pac-Man. Ms. Pac-Man does change gameplay slightly, including new tactics for the ghosts. The orange ghost, known as Clyde in Pac-Man, is changed to Sue in Ms. Pac-Man. There are also new maps, graphical changes, an entirely new set of music and sound, and new cutscenes to the game. Ms. Pac-Man made its public debut on February 3rd, 1982, at a press conference in Sherman Oaks, California. It would appear in arcades within a matter of weeks. The matter of ownership of the game is a bit complicated. GCC sold the rights of the game to Midway in October 1981, so Midway owns the game. Namco agreed with Midway that Midway would own the rights as long as Namco received the same royalties for Ms. Pac-Man as they did for the original Pac-Man. That is the backstory to Ms. Pac-Man. With that now told, it's time to play the game for ourselves. And here we are in the game. This is Ms. Pac-Man. This is a very similar opening screen to what we saw in the original Pac-Man, complete with Pinky and Blinky and Inky. I don't think I said those in order. But then we do have Sue instead of Clyde, but the sprite is exactly the same. And then, of course, we do have Ms. Pac-Man as well. Ms. Pac-Man, of course, does look a little bit different. You can tell that Ms. Pac-Man is a girl due to the lipstick, the mole, and the bow. I also added an eye to make things a little bit better. I am curious because I've never actually seen a side-by-side comparison of Ms. Pac-Man and Pac-Man. I'm going to put that in. I've always thought that Ms. Pac-Man played just a little bit faster than the original Pac-Man, so I have found that I am a little bit better at Ms. Pac-Man than I am regular Pac-Man, but we'll see as we continue. You might notice that the copyright date on this one is 1980, 1981. 1980 is when the original Pac-Man was released, and then 1981 is when Midway filed for the copyright for Ms. Pac-Man, but of course the game was released in 1982. I should do a little bit better than the demo. Seems like they're just going to do the same thing over and over again. So let's put our credit in and head in, see what I can do. My skill level with Ms. Pac-Man, I would say, is a little bit higher than what it was for regular Pac-Man, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm anticipating some good things to happen. You might notice the cherries do go all the way around the screen now. They kind of move as necessary. They split on me. They're not just stationary like they were in the original Pac-Man. Oh, that is not good. They're just a hair faster than me, still. But that's all right. We can make it out of this screen, at least. The enemies here, the ghosts, they have slightly different mechanics to them. You might also notice that there are now two kind of warp sections on either side. Oh, that's not good. No! Oh, can I not even make it out of the first screen? Maybe I'm worse at Ms. Pac-Man than I am regular Pac-Man. Yeah, I'm not really worried about points. Let's just finish this out. Get on to the next screen. So, yeah, there are some graphical changes. I think they are improvements. Small gameplay changes to the maze as well. They are new layouts in this game compared to what we saw in Pac-Man. Hey, there's a strawberry for me. Let's just try to make it across here. Can I get there in time? All right, just in time. Oh, that's bad. No! Couldn't go fast enough. All right, well, I did get a high score. That's something. It doesn't let me put my initials in, right? Because Pac-Man didn't. But I feel like it can do better than that. Let's try that again. Seemed like there was a little glitch there in the sound. That's all right. Yeah, I'm not messing around. There we go. All right, we're getting some better stuff here. Let's head up top. Try to clear out as much of this as I can. What's going on? Ah, couldn't quite squeeze in there. Couldn't do it. Thought I could make it just in time. Really? Okay, you're crossing, so we're fine. They do go much slower when they cross. All right, and we have completed, once again, not really going for a high score. I'm going for more maze completion. That's always been the way that I look at it. That's always what I'm looking for. That's what I want. Let's try to head up here. Ah! I thought I could squeeze through. Once again, they're just a hair faster than me. I should be going up top more often, try to clear the top of the screen. Because the top of the screen, of course, is harder for me to get because I start at the bottom. Okay. Let's just go use this so I can get to this side. It should be straightforward from here. Yeah, once again, not really going for points, just going for completion. There we go. I have less points than I did the first round, but at least we get a cutscene. And there we go, they meet and they fall in love. I'll see if I can find clips of all of the different cutscenes. But after 2 levels, you can see the colors change, the layout changes. Everything's just a little bit cleaner here. It's a lot easier to see as well because, ooh, that was barely any time at all on that. Oh, I've trapped myself, haven't I? No? Not yet. Okay. Let's go over here. And I got a free life out of that. They really don't give you time on this one. Yeah, they're just too fast for me. But everything's down there, so I can use my free life to at least clear this section. There we go. And we have map number 3 down. Hopefully I can beat map number 4, but considering I don't have any lives left, it's not looking too likely here. Look how little time they give you. As soon as you hit the pellet, they are already flashing to turn back. Give me like a second, but oh, you're not supposed to chase me. All right, new high score, broke 10,000, wasn't able to get to the second cutscene there, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do too much better than that, so that is where we are going to end it. That's Ms. Pac-Man, like I said, very similar to the original Pac-Man, but it has been tweaked in several ways. So that is the game now played, and with the game now played, let's talk about how the game holds up today. Playing the game today, the game does feel like a mod of the original Pac-Man, which it essentially is. As a result, it's going to be very difficult for me to talk about Ms. Pac-Man without talking about the original Pac-Man, so I have put on the screen here the footage from both games so that it can be compared visually as well. But playing the game today, after having played Pac-Man, I didn't necessarily want to play Ms. Pac-Man as long. I don't believe I played it as long as I did the original Pac-Man. The game is so similar that it feels almost like the same game on a harder difficulty level for me on Ms. Pac-Man. It feels like my character is moving faster in Ms. Pac-Man than it does in the original Pac-Man, but I feel that I have more control at the same time over Ms. Pac-Man. So I would say that Ms. Pac-Man is an improvement. It is a better game than the original Pac-Man. With that said, is it enough of a change to warrant an entirely new game? And would it be more successful? Would it have a bigger impact than the original? I don't think it's quite that different, but I would say it is of better quality. The sound, to be honest, although I know was changed, I couldn't tell the difference. Just having listened to the new one here and my memories of what the old one were, I don't know if I could tell the difference. It just sounded like Pac-Man to me, but maybe because I have played these two games so much, I've just kind of blended them together in my mind. Ultimately, the visuals of the game, I would say, are a little bit behind now. Pac-Man did come out 2 years earlier. This one has slightly upgraded the graphics, right? We actually have an eye on our character now, as well as a bow and lipstick and a mole. Those are defining characteristics of the character that did not exist in the previous game. Visually, there are some enhancements, but ultimately, those 2 years of video games were pretty drastic in terms of graphics. So while Pac-Man, I would say, was acceptable for the time, Ms. Pac-Man, I would say, is a little bit behind the times. And that is something that you don't necessarily notice because the game is considered a classic. And a lot of people are going to want to come back to this game because, like I said, it's Pac-Man, but a little bit better. At least in my opinion, it is. The sound, like I said, I can't tell the difference. In terms of gameplay, I think the gameplay in Ms. Pac-Man is slightly better. That is just kind of the way that I feel while I play it. In terms of replayability, if I was going to go back to Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, I would probably go to Ms. Pac-Man. That's probably where I would choose to put in my quarters if I had a choice between the two. I would probably prefer to play this one, even though Pac-Man is the original. And this is the first sequel that we have really talked about where I would play the sequel over the original. We'll keep track of that as we continue because that's something that I've always been interested in. But in terms of overall quality, Ms. Pac-Man is good. It is a good game. It's one that a lot of people will want to go back to and play. If you have not played either the original Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, they are both worth your time, at least putting in a few quarters, getting a few lives in, and seeing how well you can do. And that's my modern take on the game. When it was released, Ms. Pac-Man became instantly popular. It became one of the best-selling arcade cabinets of the year, and may have been the highest-grossing cabinet of 1982. By 1987, Ms. Pac-Man grossed $1.2 billion. By 1988, Ms. Pac-Man sold 125,000 units. The critics were also very positive on the game. Many critics say that Ms. Pac-Man is better than the original, and Ms. Pac-Man is often cited among the best video games of all time, even to this day. With Ms. Pac-Man's enormous success, Midway started releasing merchandise for the game, keeping GCC out of those profits. GCC would sue Midway over royalties for the merchandise. This lawsuit would be settled in 1983, with Midway agreeing to pay GCC royalties on all Ms. Pac-Man merchandise. Ms. Pac-Man is seen as the first sequel to Pac-Man, although Namco had little involvement in its development. It would not be the last entry in the Pac-Man franchise, as might be suspected from its enormous success. Ms. Pac-Man itself would spawn its own ports and re-releases. We will keep an eye on those as we continue. With another hugely successful Pac-Man game on the market, both Namco and Midway would continue to climb in the video game industry. We will hear from both of these companies again. As for GCC, who was now employed by Atari, this would not be their last video game project. We will hear from GCC again in the future as well. That will do it for the story of Ms. Pac-Man for now. My name is Baller Scuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when a film brings us into a new world.